It was something we started talking about early on in the process when we were thinking about how to do the tennis scenes, that's really the most intimate place all these characters find themselves. There's something they can say to each other on the tennis court that they can't say to each other with language or with their bodies in any other part of their lives.
This is Justin Kuritzkes. You probably know him as the screenwriter for Luca Guadagnino's sexy tennis smash hit, Challenges. Or maybe you know him as the husband of Celine Song, the Oscar-nominated writer and director of Past Lives. Or maybe you know him from this video.
Potion seller, I'm telling you I need your strongest potions. I'm going into battle. I'm going to battle and I need your strongest potions. You can't handle my strongest potions.
I got asked on a red carpet recently which of the characters and challengers could handle the strongest potions. And I was caught off guard, and so I said Tashi, and I was upset afterwards because the answer is no one. The answer is canonically no one. And I should have said that. So I was, I'll correct that now.
Awesome, exclusive letterboxed scoop.
Yeah, there you go.
Potion Seller went viral in 2011 and was followed by dozens and dozens of face-warped photo booth meme videos in which Justin would essentially workshop these absurd and exaggerated characters in front of the camera.
People always stop me on the street to ask me questions, but no one ever asks me for directions. And it's like, oh, you think it's easy?
I love finding out when people have a relationship with those videos. It always surprises me, and it's always comes up when you don't expect it to. I've had a lot of really funny encounters in other parts of my life where those videos pop up.
Has Luca Guadagnino seen Potion Seller?
He has, yeah. He discovered it really late into our collaboration together, actually. We were in pre-production for Challengers, and he was interviewing somebody to be the sound mixer on Zoom, and I happened to be in the room in his office, and the sound mixer recognized me. And he was like, "What are you talking about? What is Potion Seller?" And then we watched it right then.
It's not hard to see the seeds of Challengers buried below the surface of Justin's old videos. Across his myriad of melodramatic characters, you'll see the same themes of heartbreak, ego, and rejection.
Christine, I hate you and I miss you. You ruined my life and you gave it meaning.
Potion Seller and Challengers are both about someone who wants to be the best, but they are told by someone else that they are not worthy.
My potions are only for the strongest, and you're clearly not of the strongest, you're clearly the weakest.
So while videos like You Dare Come Back Here or 100% a Frog are a lot smaller in scale than Challengers,
Honey, everything you said is true. I'm a frog now.
They do provide an insight into Justin's writing process and how he goes about creating complex and interesting characters.
I have a hard time knowing who a character is until I've heard them speak, until I've let them say some stuff. I really get to character from the inside out. I don't really have a top-down way of constructing who a character is. Those videos are a great example of I can't really figure out who a person is or what makes them tick until I land on a phrase that they're saying.
In a perfect world, men like me would not exist. But this is not a perfect world.
And then all of a sudden, because of the way that they're saying that one phrase over and over again, something about who they are gets revealed to me.
In a perfect world, men like me would not exist. But this is not a perfect world.
It's somewhat similar when I'm writing a screenplay. I mean, you have a bit more of an idea of who the person is because they're fitting into a much larger structure.
It's like I don't know who you are anymore, Jimmy.
I really get a sense for who they are once I start getting them talking to each other.
People change, Rod. People change.
In a way, I don't think of those videos as me playing the characters even, because I'm not like a person who just would be comfortable doing voices without a filter.
Hello. I'm the hospital chaplain.
There's something about the filter that makes it feel like it's not me, or like I'm seeing this reflected funhouse version of myself, which allows me to fully invest in. So in that way, it's not that different. When you're writing a screenplay, you are sort of performing it in your head to some extent, but you're performing it with not a real person, but some abstract amazing actor in your head. Yeah, you're really lucky when those actors end up being people like Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Feist.
Mike Feist told us a story about, like, he got the script for Past Lives, but missed out and then discovered on the set of Challenges that you and Celine are married. And obviously both films deal with love triangles in very different ways. The internet is ablaze with this discussion. Did you and Celine, do you like throw around ideas? Do you spitball concepts when you're both in the writing process together on your respective films?
We have both recognized that there is a vague structural similarity in terms of the characters. And it's not lost on us that both movies feature one woman and two men. I don't ever want to really speak for Celine's work at all, or contextualize it, because I think that's for her to do. I would say I don't think it's quite accurate to call Past Lives a love triangle movie, whereas I do think Challengers is a love triangle movie.
Love triangle or not, the relationship between Past Lives and Challengers is hotly speculated online. In Past Lives, Arthur's character, who many people speculate is based on you, he's written a novel called Boner, and there's a tweet by @Andrew12LA who asks, wait, does this mean Challenges is Boner?
I have no comment on that.
Boner would not be an out-of-place alternate title for Challenges, which many Letterboxd reviews are calling the sexiest movie of the year. Hitting theaters and the zeitgeist just as divisive anti-sex scene discourse has dominated internet discussions in the past few years, with the true necessity of sex scenes in movies being called into question. How do you use sex to push the plot forward? How do you make it necessary, I guess?
One of the things that's interesting about Challengers in relationship to that discourse is that there aren't any real sex scenes in the film. The scene early in the movie in the hotel room gets stopped before something in the way you're talking about happens. So we really wanted those tennis scenes to feel like the truest intimacy and the truest eroticism in the movie. If people are saying it's an incredibly sexy movie, I'm very happy to hear that, but I don't think it's actually because of a lot of sex. I think it's because of something else.
For my money, outside of Challenges, the sexiest thing I think you've written is if you're making love with my mouth.
If you're making love with my mouth, you better do it right. You better do it right, 'cause it's all night.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I agree.
What do you think is the sexiest movie ever made, or sexiest movies?
Oh, that's a great question. I think Brief Encounter is an incredibly sexy movie, which is also a movie that has not a lot of sex in it. The setup of that movie I find incredibly sexy. The feeling of being unable to actually act on what's going on between these two people, because there's this outside observer who's plopped herself down at the table at this fateful moment in their lives. That sort of repression I find very sexy. And that inability to do what they both are like burning to do, I find very sexy.
So, what is next for Justin Kuritzkes? Well, his collaboration with Luca Guadagnino looks to be continuing with Justin penning Guadagnino's next film, Queer.
I can't tell you much about it other than that it's based on a book by William S. Burroughs, and that it's a movie Luca had been wanting to make for a long time, and I was very honored that he asked me to write it for him. It's got a fantastic cast, Daniel Craig and Drew Starkey and Leslie Manville and Jason Schwartzman and a bunch of other incredible people. But you'll have to just sit tight for more on that.
But if you were a fan of Justin before it was cool, like me, rest assured he is yet to close the book on his face warp sketches, despite moving on to the big leagues.
You and me are gonna make a ton of money together, dude.
Yeah, I don't see it as moving on. Those are part of my creative life as much as anything. And I want to do those for the rest of my life. I want to be doing those when I'm 70. They're not going anywhere.
Yes!